Hello YouTube, Dave here again. I'm just doing a little fine-tuning work on my scripts for my 4th edition retrospective. I've got part 1 already out, part 2 I'm hoping to record tomorrow evening. So just want to change it up a little bit. The script is only a little over 2 pages long, and I kind of want to expand on that a little bit, so I'm going to do some work on that. But in the meantime today I had a chance to sit down and watch some videos that I hadn't really gotten to in a while. And one of them was a really cool video that I wanted to do a response for. So the video was done by Samwise 7 RPG, and it was the top 10 favorite RPG covers. It was a really cool video. Tim had a great list of books there, so I thought I would do a response to that. Now, most of what I have is Dungeons and Dragons, so expect pretty much everything on the list, with maybe only a possible couple exceptions, to be D&D related. And the criteria that I have set out for it is that I actually want the cover to have like a painting or like an actual artwork to it. So a lot of the 3.5 books, for example, were designed to look like actual, medieval tomes, which is cool, but I want something where there's, artwork and something that, I appreciate looking at as far as the work that went into, creating the picture on the cover. So as far as a lot of the 3.5 books are concerned, there's not going to be very many of them on this list. But with that in mind, I also wanted to go a little bit beyond just the role-playing books. So I started looking through some of my Dungeon magazines, some of my Dragon magazines. So I thought I would have like my top 5 favorite covers from Dragon magazine and Dungeon magazine as well. So with all that out of the way, we'll start with Dragon magazine. I'll do the RPG books last. So Dragon magazine, I always sort of had a almost an ambivalent relationship towards. I didn't really find the magazines to be as good as, say, Dungeon were for me as a DM. So I don't really have as much of an affinity for Dragon magazine as maybe a lot of people out there, but there were some really cool covers that I've liked over the years. So we'll start with that, and one of my first ones here was issue, what do we got here, 348. From October 2006, and this is the Vecna Lives cover. So Vecna is one of my favorite deities from the 3rd edition era. So seeing a cover that had Vecna on there, with the eye and the hand missing, absolutely love this issue. It's got an ecology article in there I thought was really great. So this would be, I guess, number 5. Number 4, and these probably aren't in any super particular order, but number 4 is Dragon issue 342 from April of 2006, and this just has a really nice depiction of a white dragon on here. I actually really like white dragons, so this is really cool, perspective with the creature, coming towards you, and down below here is like its frozen treasure hoard. So this looks really cool. Similar pose almost to the gargantuan white dragon that they ended up putting out, so just really like this artwork. That was really cool. Number 3 for Dragon magazines, featuring just one of my all-time favorite monsters, the Mind Flare. So I just thought that this was just a really awesome picture with the Mind Flare doing its thing, the guy screaming in terror. A little bit of blood there, so sort of graphic, but just, again, one of my favorite monsters of all time, so just had to include this one on my list. Alright, number 2 for Dragon magazines is October 2004, issue 324. And another creature type that I really love in D&D are undead, particularly things like Death Knights, and to me this just looks like an amazing picture of a Death Knight. Just really, amazing detail on the face there. Very sort of realistic look to it. Blood on the sword looks really cool. So again, just really love that artwork. And number 1 for Dragon magazines is actually the final issue. And just because, it's a really great piece of art, not really like traditional D&D dragons or anything. It looks like fantasy art that you would have seen back in the days of like 2nd edition or things along those lines. So just really cool artwork there with the dragon. I think it's a callback to the similar looking green dragon as what was on the cover of the very first one. And of course you got the female. I'm going to assume she's probably some sort of sorceress, and just cast the background. Just really cool looking art. So again, it's a shame that the publication for Dragon magazine did come to an end. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but again, there's probably a lot of great stuff in there for other people. So again, I just really liked this final cover art for a few different reasons. All right, and that brings us to Dungeon Magazine now. I absolutely loved Dungeon Magazine. Got a lot of use out of it. And I just thought it was a fantastic publication. So, starting with the ones that I really enjoyed, I'm going to go back to the very first one I ever picked up, which was issue number 92 or 94. There was a little bit of a problem with this one in that it had 94 printed here, but had issue 92 on the spine. So, September, October 2002. I'm not quite sure what the proper number is for this one. I want to say it was actually issue number 94. But anyway, it just has a really awesome Mind Flayer on the cover. So again, Mind Flayer is one of my favorite monsters. You're probably going to see a little bit of a theme when it comes to the magazine and even some of the role-playing book covers. But I love Mind Flayers. This was the first ever issue of Dungeon that I bought. And one of the reasons that I bought it was actually because, not only because the Mind Flayer was on there, which looked really cool, but the Underdark Prison Riot adventure that this is kind of depicting falls into use with the City of the Spider Queen adventure. So I think it's something that could be played in between two sections of that. So I thought that was really cool. I had City of the Spider Queen and was looking to run it at that point in time. So that's one of the reasons that kind of drove me ultimately to pick this up. So that was number 5. Number 4 is another one of the earlier ones that I ended up buying. This one was issue number 97, Dungeon Magazine, with the first ever installment of their very beginning campaign path or adventure path, Shackled City, and just a really cool looking beholder on there. A little bit more cartoony than some of the other covers, but it's a giant beholder, and beholder is my all-time favorite D&D monster, so I had to include this on there. And this is just actually a really great all-around issue. This is what really got me hooked on Dungeon Magazine, more so than the other one. And the Shock City campaign path, something that I think I might actually do a video for sometime in the future, because it was a really cool adventure. I'd like to talk a little bit more about it. But anyway, that is number 4 of my top 5 favorite Dungeon magazines. At number 3 is another appearance of a Mind Flayer, because again, I just absolutely can't get enough of these guys. Really great artwork here, and one of the cool things is around the time that Dungeon Magazine went through its rebrand, where they dropped Polyhedron and had the format of 3 adventures per month, 1 low level, 1 middle level, and 1 high level, is they started to have specific characters that they would use in multiple covers. They were kind of tied to the campaign path, so this was for the Age of Worms, which was the second path. But again, just a really cool cover. You see the Mind Flayer there, the effects of its Mind Blast. Just a really awesome cover, and again, one of my all-time favorite D&D monsters. At number 2 is the final issue of Dungeon Magazine. Just because, not just for sentimental reasons, because of how much I love Dungeon, not just because I had the final issue of Dragon on my list here, but because it's just a really awesome picture of Demogorgon, who was the final encounter for the 3rd campaign path, which is called Savage Tide. But it has a bunch of the different characters from the different series of adventures that they ran with their campaign path. So it goes back to some of the ones that were part of the End of Shackled City. We got here, then we've got the ones from Age of Worms depicted here, and as well as the adventures that were used frequently on the covers with the Savage Tide adventure. So again, just really cool to see all those iconic characters from different magazine covers of the past. And my all-time favorite Dungeon Magazine cover is issue number, this one's been well used, so what do we got here? Issue number 134 from May 2006 with Dragotha. This is the second to last chapter for the Age of Worms campaign. Dragotha was the original Dragon Lich or Dracolich in the Greyhawk setting. So, and just a massive encounter in this book. There was a final encounter of that particular chapter, and just a really awesome picture of this ancient great worm, red dragon, Dracolich. So, again, just really cool. Don't know how well this guy's going to do. The fight with Dragatha that I ran was absolutely brutal. So, but again, just a beautiful piece of artwork to show what this undead monstrosity looked like. So those were my top 5 for Dungeon and Dragon magazine. So I thought now I'd just get into the role-playing books. So I'm going to start number 10, I guess, is Tome of Magic. So this was a 3.5 books. There are going to be a couple of them on this list, but very few of the 3.5 books actually had like full-on artwork. Most of them had, like I said, a stylized cover that may have had a little window with a picture inside of it. But this one I thought was really cool. Tome of Magic was sort of an alternate magic systems. So there's Pact Magic, Shadow Magic, and True Name Magic. Not necessarily the greatest supplement itself, but just really cool to see. This would be, I think, an example of Pact Magic. So you've got Regdar, looks like one of the iconic 3rd edition characters, and just manifesting one of his powers. So I just thought that was a really cool looking cover. So number 9 is the 4th edition Player's Handbook 3, just because of how amazing the artwork is. It's very like photorealistic looking depiction of the Minotaur and the Githyanki. So again, just awesome painting on here. So as soon as I picked this up for the first time, I just kind of blown away by how amazing the cover looked. So I had to include that on this list. All right, number 8 is Grand History of the Realms. So I'm a big fan. Forgotten Realms is my favorite campaign setting, and I'm a huge fan of R.A. Salvatore. I know, there's some people that aren't a huge fan of the Dritz character, but absolutely love the stories. Dritz is one of my favorite characters in fiction, so just really cool to have him here with Guinevere, looking over this scenery. And on the back, the artwork actually continues and has Elminster on there as well. So it's a really cool piece of art that I think really captures the Forgotten Realms well, in terms of tying it with the novels, and just a nice looking fantasy piece of art. Alright, so 10, 9, 8. So I guess number 7 is Curse of Strahd. I'm actually starting to run this campaign now. So maybe a little bit biased in terms of, the fact that I'm actually running this campaign at this point. I was looking at all the campaigns for 5th edition so far, and they all have fantastic covers. But I really like this one. I think this is really cool, and a big part of the reason why I think it's so cool is just the fact that seeing Strahd sitting on his throne holding a glass of wine. For anyone who's played Castlevania Symphony of the Night, the opening where was it Richter Belmont confronts Dracula, you see him sitting in a throne similar to this, and of course he throws his goblet of wine, which shatters in all of its early kind of chiptune glory. So it's just a really cool cover, and again, I just like the homage to the Castlevania series, because one of the Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, the artwork on there is actually a throwback to the original Ravenloft, so it's kind of cool that it circled back like that. Alright, so number 6 is maybe technically cheating, but I like the combination of the 4th edition Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide, just because the artwork here tells a little bit of a story. You got the adventurers here on the Player's Handbook, so you got the Dragonborn, and you got a human sorcerer, or mage, I guess, at this point, because sorcerer's not in this book. So this is just, kind of a cool looking cover as it is, but to see the Dungeon Master's Guide cover, you've got probably an ancient red dragon, or at least an adult red dragon, scrying on the 2 characters from the Player's Handbook in this crystal orb. So that was really awesome. I like the fact that, again, it connects the 2 books together. I really wish that the Monster Manual would have done something similar, combining the dragon with what was on the cover, but it just had Orcus on there, so that one was kind of separate. But just the 2 of these covers, the fact that the artwork tells a little bit of a story, I think is really cool. Alright, and I keep losing track of the number in my head, so 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So number 5 is the earlier version of the 2nd edition Dungeon Master's Guide cover art. Now, part of the reason why I like this so much and wanted to include it on the list is the 2nd edition DMG is actually the first D&D book I ever owned. It was given to me by an acquaintance, and anyway, this isn't the exact same cover, or the exact same copy. The copy that he gave me had some damage on it, like the spine was kind of torn up, the corners were damaged. So I got this from a buddy of mine when he closed his game store. So I bought this off him at a pretty good price. But again, just love the Red Dragon. The second edition Red Dragon looked really cool. I like the third edition and the one forward a little bit better, but it is still a cool looking dragon, and it looks like a pretty epic battle between this ancient wizard and ancient red dragon. Alright, so we've got, wow, I lost track again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Okay, so at number 4, and the last one's going to be a little bit easier. So a little bit of a story behind this one is the artwork for Alma Mater. So this is a kind of a high school themed role-playing game. And the reason I like this cover so much, it's pretty cool. Errol Otis is the one who did the artwork on this, so he's a really fantastic artist. But another one of the reasons that I like this is I'm actually friends with one of the creators of this game. So one of my best friends actually created this way back in the day. So a little bit of a personal reason for wanting this on there, but again, it's a really cool concept. Wouldn't really work in today's modern society. But back at the time, it was a pretty cool idea, and has, quite a bit of a following as well, sort of a cult status almost nowadays. Alright, so we're at our top 3. So at number 3 is the cover for set 1 of the Dragon Age role-playing game. It's just really cool artwork. It's just really cool. You got the archer, you got your, this is probably a dwarven rogue who's dual wielding. Could be a warrior, but most likely dual wielding tended to be something that I think was more done by rogues. But again, really cool looking art here. You got the mage casting spells, and of course, the axe impacting. Just an all around really cool piece of art. Alright, down to our bottom 2. So number 2 favorite RPG cover is the 3.5 Draconomicon. Just an amazing piece of art here. With the red dragon, the hatchlings on the treasure hoard. The cover, I believe, was done by Todd Lockwood, who was one of the greatest artists, in my opinion, for dragons. And he did a lot of fantastic artwork. Did a lot of the covers for Salvatore novels. But just an amazing cover here. And this is one of the first 3.5 books to come out that didn't have that kind of leather tone look to it. So it was one of the earliest 3.5 hardcovers to come out that actually was just full-on artwork. So just really fantastic. And my all-time favorite role-playing book cover is the 5th edition Monster Manual. And again, if you paid attention to earlier parts of the video, it's due almost 100% to the fact that beholders are my favorite monster of all time. And this is just a really awesome picture of a beholder. You got somebody, I don't know if they're running away or calling for help, but it looks like these two guys are about to have a really bad time. So just really love this artwork. So anyway, so like I said, this was a video response to the video put out by Samwise 7 RPG. I encourage anyone watching this, if you make videos of your own, to record a response of your own. It doesn't have to be 10. You could pick top 5, top 3, even if it's just your favorite cover. But I thought it was kind of a cool idea. I don't do very many of these video responses, but this is one that I thought I could actually get behind. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and at the time of this recording, I'm hoping to get to my part 2 of my 4th edition retrospective tomorrow, so that should be up within the next couple of days of this one. But I thought this would be a fun little video to do in the meantime while I work on those scripts. Anyway, again, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.